a lot of testing, and they'll probably have had him up in a wind tunnel somewhere as well.
I was going to say, I think he's pretty much in that, almost in the A team for the tours and stuff, so he'll have been in wind tunnels, probably not on the track. When you're in the BC team, you don't get to go in the wind tunnel, you just have to stick onto the velodrome. But it will be interesting to see what he does. This is a good test for him, and as you say, Rob, he's had bad luck, hasn't he, this week, and this will be a nice test for him, an individual test to see, right, what can I do? 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour, let's get the hammer down and see what numbers I can do and see if I can get a result.
It seems like the entire Ineos Grenadiers team is on the road at the moment. That's who the camera operators are choosing to follow. I can promise you that there are other teams in this race, and we will see them, because the top 10, it looks like we could be in for a real battle. And just outside the top 10, there's still riders like Mollema, looking at Stefan Kung as well, a little further down, certainly a candidate for stage win. And we'll be getting there. Stefan Kung, by the way, starting in just 12 minutes time. Final rider out today will be Thomas Pidcock. He starts at 1/4 the next hour, so just under 45 minutes time. And it's once we get to the top 10 that these riders start at 2-minute intervals. Now then, positions, Adam. Of course, you're much more well versed on this, but even to a layman like me, you can see this is completely different in the setup to what we saw from Castroviejo. You saw that Castroviejo was a little higher. Just look at the bars there and how high Arensman is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know enough about aerodynamics and going deep into it, but it's basically keeping your shoulders as narrow as possible. That's why they wear the super large helmets these days, and just reduce that frontal area of drag, so his hands being up a little bit, that will block the wind going down onto his chest, which obviously takes a lot of that wind that you're pushing into. So he's just trying to minimise that gap. We always see riders put their head down as well, and that's for that exact reason basically. But different rider shapes, different riders' bodies, it's just everyone's very personal and very different, and sometimes you can do a test in a wind tunnel, realise something's massively quicker or just a little bit quicker, but it might not feel right and as quick as a previous position did. And we know what bike riders are like. We like to feel good on our bikes, we don't like to feel slow.
That was interesting with Tim van Dijk. He seemed to have the car very close to the back of him, and there are new rules, of course, governing that this year, as we see Tim van Dijk has put in a really good ride. Interesting to see how hot they're going to be on enforcing those rules and how they're going to come across. Are we going to see things enforced retrospectively, or are we going to see a little slap on the wrist, maybe a warning first without it going too far? It's sort of the approach I would like, but it's not always the case, is it? That's a good 5th place though for Tim van Dijk. As we're back with what looks like Kwiatkowski.
Looks like he's doing intervals at the minute, Kwiato. He's sitting on the Uno X rider that he caught, having a little breather. Now getting back into it, out the saddle, up the climb. But yeah, if anyone's wondering about how the car benefits you behind, my understanding is that it pushes the air forward. The wind that it pushes into, this little frontal bit of wind that spins around like a teardrop almost, that then pushes the rider along a little bit, so the closer you can get, the more air you'll get pushed against you. But yeah, that's why they put the rule in. Obviously with the more bikes on top, which we see a lot of teams doing, that frontal area of the team car is greater, obviously.
Here is Kwiatkowski, 23 minutes 20 seconds in. Top time is just over 30 minutes right now. It's been set by Niels Pollitt, quicker than Kasper Asgreen and Matthias Vatsek. Kasper Pedersen in 4th, Tim van Dijk in 5th place. But the time check, last time check we had, Kwiatkowski has gone through not too far away from the top time, about 18 seconds down on what Niels Pollitt set.
Let's see if he ramps it up in the final. Pollitt definitely ramped it up, went through the first time check in 3rd position, 1st at the second one, and then 1st over the line, obviously.
It's a left turn here, thankfully. Road open at the other side of the roundabout. I'd be a little worried then. And confirmation that Valentin Madouas will not start, I'm afraid, today. He was due to be starting just a minute ago. No Valentin Madouas, who's sick today. But we've been following closely the progress of Michał Kwiatkowski. 24, almost 25 minutes in. Niels Pollitt is the current leader. Just over 30 minutes his time for the 24.4 kilometre course. And we're awaiting the entry into the top 10. The top 10 riders start in around 15 minutes time. We'll begin with Tobias Foss at 57 minutes past 2 local time in Portugal. That's the same time of those of you watching in UK and Ireland, by the way. And then, well, just 18 minutes later, we'll have Tom Pidcock. He'll be the final rider to start. Riders off at 2 minutes intervals inside the top 10. It's just a 10th professional time trial for Thomas Pidcock. No wins yet, but 4 top 10s. If he gets up there and defends the very small gaps he has in this particular time trial in the general classification, he would take a first ever GC stage race victory. But there's lots of candidates for that. Now, Remy Cavagna isn't a candidate for the victory in terms of overall GC. He's at 2 minutes 22 from the top and the lead. But he is a candidate, Adam, for victory in the time trial itself.
Yeah, he will want to go for this stage win today. He had a good little go yesterday. He attacked on the final lap of yesterday's course, so he's obviously feeling good, and he will definitely want to put his stamp on this race, let's say, and try and get a good result today. This is his speciality, really, isn't it? Time trial. He's been French national time trial champion about 55 times, so this will be something that he wants to show everyone what he can do.
And I think the team will be pretty not nervous, but certainly apprehensive as to what the result will come. They have not won a stage all week, and I know that maybe we're judging them on a different level because they do generally take so many victories, but they've ridden every day trying to win a stage, and it's not like Soudal Quick-Step to come to a stage race and not take a stage. They had 2 opportunities in the sprint with Fabio Jakobsen, none of those paid off. They rode for L'Enfant Wilder, who thought he'd won on stage 2 but was pipped on the line by Magnus Cort. And yesterday, as you said, Remy Cavagna, he was going for it, and as was Van Wilder in the end as well. So today might be the day where they could take their first stage win of the week. Again, I realise that we might be guilty of judging them by other standards sometimes, given the fact that we expect them to be winning. Just what they do.
They do it so well as well. I think this man, especially last year, he really only picked up in the latter part of the season last year. He had a crash early on in the season in 2022, and I'm not going to say he's been building, but I think he's back on sort of full flight now.
Here's Finn Fisher-Black, 22nd overall in the general classification. We're inside 2 minutes of a gap now from the leader to those going off. Next up will be Merawi Kudus. Then we'll be into the top 20. Frederik van Dale, best young rider until now. Corbett Goossens just after him. And then Stefan Kung, the next of our big names, will be really up there trying to challenge for the stage win.
Laurens de Plus has just gone through the first checkpoint as the fastest rider. 4 seconds in front of Matthias Vacek.
Well, that would be a turn up for the books. Strong rider, however, not a serial winner in the time trial. Maybe Ineos Grenadiers are doing something very right. Of course, we see it at the start of every year, don't they? There's certain teams who have got some sort of development and it's going a lot better for them. And this is one of the big time trials, certainly on European soil anyway, this year that we're seeing. Interesting to see exactly where it's lying. Of course, the team's been working with aerodynamicist and all-round superstar in that department, Dan Bigham, for a while now. And there will be gains being made, I'm sure.
De Plus has just got back from Tenerife as well. He went up there before this race. He was with Theo Gegenhardt, I think, up there on the mountain on Tiding in Tenerife. So he'll no doubt be probably getting better as each day goes along, really.
First bit of land you see when you fly back from Mount Teide to Europe is Portugal and Faro. Back in the day, when I was a kid, you used to have to land in Faro to refuel on the way back from the Canary Islands to the UK. The runways weren't long enough over in the Canary Islands.
You are sounding old now.
Thanks, mate.
Back in my day, we had to push airplane to get it going.
Not that old. Maybe getting there. Now, Kwiatkowski was going quickly, wasn't he? But he's not going to set the fastest time today. He's into the final kilometre, and the fastest time's about to tick by him now. Man who has won the odd time trial back in the day as well. This week has been in domestic mode and has been in fantastic form. Saw him helping Tim and Arensman on a couple of occasions, riding most of that top climb to Alto da Foya at the front on day 2, and here he is inside the final 300 metres now. Ever so slightly slower than Askane. Probably going to settle into, I think, 4th place for now. See if he can beat Kasper Pedersen's time.
He looks good, but not like he's gone full gas.
Yeah, it's a 5th or 6th for Kwiatkowski. 6th provisionally in the end, just behind Tim van Dijken. Solid enough from him. And Niels Pollitt is still the leader. 37 is the magic number for now. Niels Pollitt the leader. 30.37.12. 15 seconds quicker than Vatsek. Askren, Pedersen, Van Dijken, Kwiatkowski with Baroncini, Gjelmelek, Bittner, who had a very good start to the week wearing the white jersey after day 1. And here we go. Stefan Kung, who's lost that European Champions jersey now. He looks rather strange without that on after a few years wearing it. And Stefan Kung is on his way. And in a time trial he likes. He's been up there on this particular course before. Kung going for Groupama FDJ, on his way to see what he can do.
Quick one, Rob. It's just flashed up on our screen. Arensman has answered our questions for us. See how well he goes through the first time check. 21 seconds up on his teammate, Laurens de Plus. So yeah, I think he is going quite well.
A man looking for revenge on the misfortune that's plagued him in the mountains so far this week. And Arensman, who's 23 years of age, couple of pro wins to his name. One of them, a time trial in a World Tour race. His first pro victory was that last year in Poland. So he has previous. This is Warren Barguil, who it's safe to say doesn't have too much previous in the time trial.
No, but a solid, I'm going to say he's a solid all-rounder now, punchy, a sort of rider in those hilly mountain days that he has come better the last couple of years. He had a quiet few years, but he's seeming to find his, I'm not going to say finding his legs again, but he's getting back up to the pointy end where we expect him to be on, the stages we expect him to be on, so it's good to see.
Back with Barguil. And Arke Samsic. The man who's the highest in the general classification for them so far this week. No Elie Joubert as high. He's been up in the top 30. And suddenly up there on the course as we're back with Kung. Won this time trial back in 2019. About 5 kilometres slower back then. 5 kilometres shorter, I should say, back then. Certainly not slower. It was nearly on 50 kilometres per hour. It was a fast ride. With Reichenbach now, man from French-speaking Switzerland, despite the Germanic surname. Hence his pronunciation of it as Reichenbach and not Reichenbach. Comes from just down the road from where the UCI is based, actually, not far from Aigle.
He has an owner of the team as well who looks to be like he could offer quite a bit of experience. Fabian Cancellara, Olympic champion, multiple World TT champion. I'm sure he's offered a little bit of advice on the training camps, showing them how it's done.
Yeah, you think they'd go fairly well in a time trial, wouldn't you? Tudor Pro team. Swiss timing and all as well. Pushing back on the way. Never been his forte, particularly this discipline. Of course, he's come over from Groupama FDJ. Well, it's a new adventure at this level for Tudor. Second division team this year, a pro team. Vaishevak is the top place rider in his team so far in the general classification this week, as we're about to move into the top 15 with Anton Charmig being the next man to start. So happy the sun's come out this afternoon. It's been a little wet earlier on. Don't want that sort of thing influencing general classification in a time trial. Of course, it is all part of the game, but never pleasing to see as we see the updates. De Plus now quickest at the second intermediate as well, 11 seconds faster than Pollitt, so he's obviously going really well. We wait for Aresman to come through that, who's a further, remember, 21 seconds quicker at that first time check.
Yeah, he was going like a train. Must be difficult this. I know all the teams they get given the equipment and they get to spend a little bit more time, but you can see the riders that have been coached into time trial and the way to sit with their head down a little bit. You can see Raikkonen back here with his head up. He wants to get that tucked down in between his shoulders, all that wind going in between his chin and his forearms there. That's just wind that he's catching that's slowing him down. When we looked at Timo Arensman before with his hands as high as possible, really up in the air, that's to stop the wind flowing down there and slowing you down ultimately.
We're now within the riders who could seriously think about the general classification, because just 50 seconds behind Tom Pidcock sits Nicola Conci, and if you can't quite win it, you can certainly think about going up there into the top 5 and the top 10. Conci started the week aiming for the GC. He's not had a bad week, but of course if you start out aiming to try and win it, you want to be up there in the top 10, don't you? And Alpecin Koenig, the Koenig have set all of their weight behind him, and Nicola Conci is off. He's got Oscar Onley, Bauke Mollema in front of him, but then it's going to be a big job to get in front of the likes of Foss and Ganner, isn't it? Stefan Küng, former European champion. As we go back to the best young rider, and this is Oscar Onley, a young climber from Kelso in Scotland. He rides for DSM. How's he going to fare here in the time trial? Big test for him, this.
Very big test indeed, and if he can do a good ride here, he'll probably no doubt get a bigger contract going into next year's. Then he might be able to buy a watch like the man who's counting down the riders, that is. He's wearing a platinum Rolex Daytona, which it's cost a lot of money. That could be a year's wages for a Neo Pro, so I'd love to know who that is and how much he's getting paid.
Eagle eye on the watches there, Adam.
Well, he's just stood up well. The only reason I'm saying that is because our friend Christian van der Velde is watching from over in America, and he pointed it out to me, so thank you for that, Christian, and I hope you're enjoying the work.
Back with Oscar Onley then. Van der Velde was part of a really good time trial team, wasn't he, in his days at Garmin?
He was alright, wasn't he, old Christian?
Bauke Mollema only started taking time trialling seriously, and he's the Dutch national champion. The first time he turned up to ride the Dutch nationals, he took the victory last year. just keep your eye on him here. He starts the day in 11th place. He's up there in the general classification. He will attack this in a way that only Volker Mollema attacks things.
With a bob. Left to right.
You're not done about the haircut, are you?
No, not the haircut, just his riding style. Bowker's one of my favourite riders because you never know if he's actually flat out. If he's not flat out, his style never changes, really. It's brilliant. He's a fantastic rider. And what I most love about him, he's one of the elder riders now in the peloton that he's still very, very successful as well, which is getting rarer and rarer, sadly.
Now then, Rémi Cavagna set the fastest time at the first time check. 5 seconds quicker than Tim and Arensman. Second time check is occupied by riders from Ineos Grenadiers at the minute, Arensman and Castroviejo. The finish, we're about to see Tony Galopin come through, and that's a good ride. Back to some sort of form. Fourth provisionally for Tony Galopin. Of course, he will be bumped down, I'm sure, as the day goes on. But welcome back. Not Maxime Montfort, Adam.
It's not Maxime Montfort, no. I got that wrong yesterday. I'll hold my hands up. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Here's Oscar Onley.
Ooh. Cavagna, quickest at the first intermediate now. 5 seconds in front of Arensman. Thank you to someone who, on Twitter as well, pointed out to me that Rémi Cavagna has not won 57 national TT champs. He has only won one.
The world champion, Tobias Foss, on his way, and we're into the top 10. 32 seconds. Top GC rider, now a top time trialist, officially recognised with those rainbow stripes around his chest. Adam, we could be looking at one of the men to challenge for the GC at the end of the day.
Yes, this man, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do here. Winning the World Championships in Australia last year, putting in a ride that I think it's fair to say none of us expected him to do. We knew he was good, but not that good. And this is his next test. You know, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders now for me. In that jersey, there's a lot of pressure for him. There's a lot of pressure for him to perform at that standard again. And when I say that standard, he's world champion. I expect him to be in the top 3 now on the stage anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can win the stage. He'll be right up there. And if he can, where does that leave him on GC as well?
Second time check has just seen Arensman go through 28 seconds quicker than Laurens de Plus. It's now an Ineos 1-2-3 at that second point for now.
Stefan Kung as well has just gone through the first intermediate exactly the same time as Rémi Cavagna.
Wow. It's game on, it's race on. Foss is on the road, Gannat still to come. Tobias Foss in the rainbow bands. Now it must feel real. He's riding to see if he can take a stage win and perhaps with it a general classification title. Filippo Ganna, now champion of Italy and able to show off that jersey. Rainbow bands are gone. He starts just a single second in the GC behind Tobias Foss, the new world champ. Game on. Maybe a chance to win for the first time in his career a general classification prize.
I noticed as well over the winter that Ganna was looking at making changes to his TT position as well by the looks of things, just trying to raise the bars up ever so slightly to bring that gap down. We know he's got a very extreme TT position, probably one of the most aero out there for such a tall guy, but still, even this winter, still trying to make adjustments to it, not just being happy with what his current position was. So it'd be interesting to see if it has changed, and if it has, we will be able to see the difference in it, but always searching for more and more speed.
That's the nature of the beast though, isn't it, in time trialling? It's always evolving. I mean, even in our position where we sit in the commentary box, you can, read up on something, have a chat with an expert, and then you talk about it, 2 minutes later it's changed again. It's a fantastically interesting, fascinating world. I mean, I can't pretend to understand too much of it, but it's fascinating just seeing the pace at which it moves.
It is indeed. I mean, it's one of those things with bike riders you always talk about and you always mention about kit, equipment, and you always say, yeah, well, they've got this bike, they've got those wheels, we know that they're faster, and this will be very much the case. Looking at Ghana, he'll have, you know, the fastest wheels, the fastest tyres, what his sponsors can possibly give him. We know that they spend a lot of time with Filippo looking into this. You can talk yourself out of it almost if you're a lesser team and going, well, I'm meant to compete with that because they've got this, he's got that, he's got this, he's got that, and we've just got this. So time trialling is you've got to stay one step ahead, and he has changed his position ever so slightly. So new bars on there as well, the flared bars at the bottom. He rode them at the hour record, and it does look like they are slightly higher than they were before.
Out of the yellow, back into pink. Magnus Cort has had quite the week.
Green jersey as well.
Supposedly, well, he is in the green jersey, but interesting that he's opted to not wear that green jersey skin suit, keep his own, because he obviously thinks that he has a chance of going for the overall here as well. He's at 27 seconds from Thomas Pidcock. Interesting that I think you can take the hit and take the fine, can't you, and not wear the points classification jersey. The organiser will be disappointed with that. He, of course, wants all the aerodynamic advantage that he has, and he will have prepared for this season with his own skin suit on, his own fitting skin suit, and not that of the sponsors. This is Laurens de Plus. It looks as though Niels Pollitt's time's just going to escape him, but it's going to be a really good ride, this, from the Belgian. Heading into a provisional second place ahead of Matthias Vacek.
It's good to see De Plus back at the pointy end of things as well. He went through a tough season last year, really just struggled. I think 2 years ago now, 2021, he got back into it 22, but he was struggling to walk 10 minutes down the road, never mind get back on his bike. So to see him at the top, it must have been a very long process for him and quite a hard one, but it's good to see him back at the sharp end again.
Eyes on the prize here because Rune Hedegaard is in with a shot of taking the lead provisionally. 30:37.12 is the time he has to beat. The seconds are ticking away. He's pedalling away. He's giving his all, is the young Belgian. He's come from the Sport Vlaanderen Balois setup. He's now at Intermarché. He's been strong as a youngster. Oh, and he's almost the strongest for now. A fraction of a second behind Niels Pollitt. We know that Pollitt's time's likely to be beaten here, but that's a really good effort from young Hedegaard.
Very good effort indeed. I was not expecting that, but absolutely brilliant time.
We just saw Oscar Onley riding his first ever TT as a fully fledged pro, and we're now with Danny Martinez, who has been a national champion in this discipline in Colombia. He starts the day at 23 seconds in the overall general classification from Tom Pidcock, his teammate. Now the man to watch out for, given how his colleagues in the Ineos team are going today. They're obviously doing something right in that research and development we talked about, because there's lots of their riders who are up there high on the team time charts at the moment. This is Castro Viejo, former Spanish champion. Again, not going to be up there with Pollitt, but he's going to be close. He's going to be competing for bragging rights with his teammate Laurens de Plus, and he's just 2 seconds quicker. So Castro Viejo provisionally third, Laurens de Plus provisionally fourth, and this is Filippo Ganna. 5 minutes into his effort and heading up to the climb section on the left hand side. This is the one we see every year in this time trial. Filippo Ganna going uphill. It's a steep but short climb, this. Up the saddle, really attacking it. The Italian bands on his jersey rather than the rainbow bands this year. But he is looking very, very good as the man from Ineos Grenadiers.
He always looks good, doesn't he, on a TT bike? Even on a road bike, he's starting to grow on me now as well. But no, he's had a good start to the season, and I think he's surprised a few of us with what he's been capable of in terms of his climbing as well for such a big bloke. But this man, he's getting back up there.
Timon Arnesman's going to be the new leader today, whatever happens. Won a time trial last year in Poland, transferred over in the winter to Ineos Grenadiers. He's going to put around 30 seconds, if not a bit more, into Niels Pollitt here. Arensman across the line, 30 seconds quicker. That is some ride. Question is, will it be beaten?
Yeah. Simpler, well, yeah. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No, a time check. You're right. The time check, he has been beaten by the top time trialists, hasn't he? Kung and Cavagna to go through. But again, when you set times as good as that, you take so much time out of the rest of the competition. You wonder how he's gone on that third section where we're waiting for everyone to come in. Still lots of riders to finish. Harensman's gone into the hot seat, and Filippo Ganna's just 7 minutes into his effort, and we have the top 5 who are still to start. So Jai Hindley's now on his way. Rui Costa will be next to go, then it will be Sergio Higuita, João Almeida, Ilan van Wilder, and then the leader, Thomas Pidcock, in the yellow jersey. Interesting to see whether he wears the yellow jersey or not. Given the fact that Magnus Kort is not decided to wear the green jersey here.
I was just thinking the exact same thing there, Rob. I wonder if he'll do it. Obviously the team skin suits are all set up, made to measure, super duper fast skin suits. The yellow jersey from the race won't be that quick, I can imagine.
Here's Rui Costa, 6th overall, and listen to this in the background. Getting the cheers already. 22 seconds down. He can't do it again, can he? You'd say that in a time trial, Adam, without that sort of wily old racecraft that he can use at the end to get beyond everybody, given the huge names who are out there, it's a big ask, isn't it, this?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's not his forte, is it, as a strong rider, but he's shocked us this season from the very start of it, winning that first race in Mallorca. I mean, respectfully, I didn't expect that from him. We knew that he was a solid, good rider, but he has stepped it up a notch. So who knows what this man's going to do today? He might win, he might come last, who knows, but he's going to be up there. No matter what, he'll be round about the sharp end of things, let's say.
There is Rui Costa, who's on his way. 51 on his back, and that Intermarché jersey, a brand new team for him. He is the Italian champion, looking brilliant as always. Are the numbers going to back him up? Filippo Ganna will be approaching the first time check here. Top time so far set by Stefan Kung, 10:46.50. Of course, we're waiting for Tobias Foss's time to flash up as well. He started just a minute before, or 2 minutes before Filippo Ganna, pardon me. Foss in 10th place, Ganna in 9th. Amazingly, we haven't seen too much of the world champion, have we?
No, we've not, but it will be interesting, as you say, to see who comes through that first checkpoint first. And just to update you, that Cavagna is 3 seconds faster than Stefan Kung at the second checkpoint, so role reversal for them two.
That's a 7-second swing in favour of Cavagna ahead of Kung. This is Sergio Higuita. 17 seconds off the lead occupied by Tom Pidcock at the start of the day. If he wants to climb a place onto the podium, he's going to have to take 10 seconds out of João Almeida, who sits in 3rd at the minute, and Almeida considered, quite rightly, a top time trialist. Now, Tobias Foss has gone through the first time check, and it's not the best news, really, if you're looking for him to be the fastest. 17 seconds slower than Stefan Kung. 5th place.
He might be riding into it, settling into the rhythm. Cool running style. Feel the rhythm, feel the ride.
You need the rhythm for half an hour of a ride here because it's a 24.4 kilometre time trial. Ganna will have gone through that check if he's going at the rate he wants to be going, because he's 11 minutes in here. Top time set was Kung. That was 10:46. We wait to see if the time flashes up, or indeed if he's not going this quick, as you thought? I mean, where is he here? We're not actually seeing the times flash up on the screen, are we, as they come through the checks, unfortunately?
Sadly not. There we go. Oscar Onley went through at 11:20, but he's miles in front of that. So Bauke Mollema at 11 minutes 3. So he's in 4th place. That first time check, sorry.
It's going to be a job to get the calculators out at the end of the day. Everybody in the top 10 separated by 32 seconds. Lots of musical chairs going to happen, I think. Certainly over the course of a 24.4 kilometre time trial today. We're on to the podium now. This is João Almeida. He has been Portuguese champion in this discipline. He's off and he gets a real roar. He starts just 7 seconds off the lead of Tom Pidcock. A good ride for him today. He could conceivably win this race. As we now go to the finish line, and this is Rémi Cavagna, who is going to set the new fastest time. And he's going to take quite a bit of time out of Temun Ardensman, I think. 30:06.77 is the time to beat. 200 metres to fly across the line here, and he's about to fly through 29.5 minutes on the bike. Rémi Cavagna has gone like the TGV he's named after. The nickname lived up to, and he flies through. 29:38.81. Rémi Cavagna is the new leader.
Solid time, very solid indeed. It's good to see him, as we were chatting about him earlier, Rob. He was at the front end for a lot of time trials, and he's back at the front end now.
Only 2 riders left to start. João Almeida is on his way. In just less than a minute's time, Ilan van Wilder will begin his time trial, sitting 2 seconds on the podium in front of Almeida and 5 seconds behind leader Tom Pidcock, who begins in around 3 minutes from now.
I might have had something wrong here, Rob, but at the second time check I've got Warren Barguil going through fastest. That might change, there might be an error, but if he has, by heck, he has been working on his TT. No, he's not, he's in 48th place, it's just changed, it's alright. Give me a
musical
shock
chairs
then.
at the time checks,
Yeah.
never mind in the final GC top 10.
Crikey, I was going to say, someone has been working on the TT a lot in the winter.
Here's Ilan van Wilder. Aero neck sock on. Space age helmet on the top of that. Is it all going to help him take the general classification? He awaits his first ever professional win. He thought he had it on stage 2 until Magnus Cort stealthily came around him. Van Wilder was celebrating that day. Will he be celebrating today at the top of the general classification podium? If he's to do that, he has to fend off Tom Pidcock, who's 5 seconds in front of him. But he's also going to have to deal, you suspect, with the big-time trialists, the likes of Foss, Ganna and the rest, who are already on the road.
Still no update yet on this man at that first time check. I'm just trying to keep an eye on things, see if it's come through, but as we stand here, we've not got that update, but he looks fast.
Yeah, no time check come through to suggest in the top 20 at the minute, as we take a quick look at the results that we're getting through. But again, unfortunately, the camera operators, the graphics operators haven't been really giving us those time checks on our screen. For some reason, there's no camera at the time checks, which I find absolutely bizarre. We wait for more information as we see Ilan van Wilder on the way. And if he's a minute and a half into his effort, that means that Tom Pidcock is in the start house and is ready to go. Van Wilder waiting for that first professional victory. Tom Pidcock in the yellow skin suit as race leader. First overall. It's his 10th professional time trial today. He's never won one. If he does that today, he'll win the race overall. He might still win the race overall if he defends those times. He's got 5 seconds of a gap on Van Wilder. 7 in front of Almeida. And then all the way in the top 10, just 32 seconds to the world time trial champion, Tobias Foss. It's a big day in the life of Tom Pidcock, who's trying to win a stage race overall for the first time. This is Finn Fisher-Black, and the young Kiwi puts in a time that for now is good enough for 13th place. The end of the day, may well have him inside the top 25. So Pidcock on the way. A new experience, as you said already. Yellow jersey on his back, looking to try and win a pro stage race for the first time. Pidcock will have had all of the information fed back to him. He knows what his body's capable of, and he's no stranger to winning big prizes in different disciplines in cycling. But today, another box could well be ticked off. It's a huge half an hour of bike riding for Tom Pidcock, Adam.
Very big indeed. I mean, for Tom, what can you say about him? He's won so many bike races, so talented at most things, but there's one thing he's not won yet, and that's a professional stage race. And this is a solid stage race to win, start of the season. There we have the intermediates.
Finally.
Filippo Ganna, 2 seconds behind Stefan Kung. The second intermediate, I'm not sure if Kung's been through yet. He has, 3 seconds slower than Cavagna once again, so 2 seconds is not much really at the minute. I don't think we can take too much from that, apart from Ganna is right on the money.
He's in the game. And of course Ganna's also involved in general classification action too. He sits 9th at 31 seconds. Over the course of 24.4 kilometres, 31 seconds is something that Ganna could conceivably eat up quite easily. Now with Almeida now. And now back to the finish, because this is King Kung. Half a kilometre to ride. He should ride into the lead here. Cavagna, though, has put in a really good time. Now then, has Kung held on well enough? I think he's probably just going to edge into the lead. He's got to get across the line quickly if he's to do that. The time ticks by. Kung coming to that finish line. Kung sets the fastest time. He puts just under 4 seconds into Remy Cavagna, who's bumped down into second place. Kung in the lead. But by how much, and how will that stand or not? Because Ganna has been close to him. 2 seconds behind Kung at the first time check. Kung, a former winner of this time trial 3 years ago now. How will he go today? Kung, by the way, one of those riders who's not involved in the GC really. I think today's ride will certainly take him up into the top 10. But he started the day 1 minute and 5 behind Pidcock, didn't he? And over half a minute behind this guy. Only 2 seconds separated them at the first check. So Kung maybe in there for the stage win. Probably not up there for the GC today.
Yeah, and this man here as well, we have to remember that he is an outstanding time trialist on his day when he's going good, but he is beatable. He's like with the Van der Poel and Wout van Aerts and the Pogacars as well. We always look at them as the best of the best, and they are the best of the best, but they are beatable. We've seen them beaten many a times before, and he could be beaten again today. This is probably for Ganna the longest time trial he's done so far this year, since the hour record probably. He'll have done similar efforts, but has been track focused.
That was the second time check. We didn't get the time stop for us, but on first glance, he wasn't as quick as Cavagna. He went through at 19:27. And keep your eyes on it, though. Hopefully that time should flash up for us in a moment. This is L'Enfant Wilder. He's just over that section where they climb. With Ganna, 20 minutes into his effort.
Bauke Mollema at the second checkpoint, 30 seconds behind Cavagna.
Mollema starting the day in 11th place. That will suggest to us that he isn't going to pull off some miracle and win the GC today.
I don't think so, no. And just another update, I'm sure you've seen it as well, Rob, is that Filippo Ganna is 10 seconds behind Cavagna at that second checkpoint, so not quite there. He's lost another 8. He's lost 8 seconds since that first time check.
Foss through in 5th place as well there, for the 12 seconds behind Ganna.
Jeez. like MotoGP then.
It's an interesting time trial, isn't it? As Pidcock gets to the climby section, he's the last rider to pass through here. Lots of lefts and rights. The odd deceptive bit of climbing in here. Pidcock showed us yesterday he can do that rather well, winning the stage on the mountain. It's interesting actually, because all of his 3 pro wins on the road have come on quite steep hills to the finish.
Yeah, he's a punchy rider, isn't he? He won Tour de l'Avenir as well, let's not forget, when he was an amateur, so he can perform on the long climbs. It's just we're used to seeing Tom in the 1 hour cyclocross race, the mountain bike in the classics as well. Remember when he was second at Amstel there, so we're used to seeing him as that punchy attacking rider, and I so often forget what he's capable of on long climbs.
Joao Almeida approaching the first time check here. Stefan Küng's top time of 10:46 still stands there. Ganna 10 seconds behind Cavagna at the second time check. That will put him 7 seconds behind the current leader in the clubhouse, Stefan Küng. Küng, who took 4 on Cavagna. So they alternated the lead, didn't they, for quite a while? As you see Rui Costa come through the first time check in 14th place. That's at 27 seconds. Jai Hindley 46 seconds behind Stefan Küng. And Sergio Higuita a good almost 50 seconds back. So not great starts there in their defence of the GC positions for those guys. Interesting to see then what the likes of Almeida, Van Wilder and Pidcock can do at those first time checks, because otherwise, if they don't get up there with the likes of Filippo Ganna and company, we might be starting to look at Filippo Ganna as the man looking for the GC today.
Yes, I'd say so as well. And Ganna is definitely one of the riders that likes to, let's say, squeeze a little bit in the final part of the time trial. He can empty himself quite well. So I'm sure he'll bring a little bit of time back. And for the overall, we're going to see what happens, aren't we? I mean, it's quite the obvious one, but he could be right up there, if not it.
24 seconds to get onto the podium. 26 seconds to get into second place. That's how bad my maths are. 31 seconds on Pidcock if he's to take the lead and eventual title off of his teammate.
Pidcock looks to be gaining quite a bit of time on Van Wilder as well. Van Wilder looks to be losing quite a bit on Almeida, so not having the best time trial by the looks of things. And that's before the first checkpoint.
This is how it stands in terms of the checkpoints. It's Küng, Ganna, Cavagna. Cavagna, Küng, Ganna at the second. Ganna, we wait to arrive at the third. Joao Almeida not really pulling up any trees either, just a single second quicker than Rui Costa, and in 14th place. So Almeida, as it stands, could be in danger of losing the podium here.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I'm so intrigued to see what Tom can do here. He's obviously, as we spoke about, we never quite know what we're going to get from him, apart from solid, basically. On the days that he's going for it, it's generally great rides, so if he can put in another one of those performances, which he's more than capable of, it'll be great to see.
Because we haven't seen too much of him in a lot of these races. Remember, it's only his second season really riding at this level. And aside from the likes of Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel, who followed those similar trajectories, excelling first in cyclocross and other disciplines, and then coming to the road, there haven't been too many riders we've talked up as winning big things enough before they've come to the road like this. So interesting to see how it goes, as Oscar Onley's ridden fairly well here. Certainly for a first professional time trial at this level as a fully fledged pro. Of course, he's ridden in the development team and been thrown into the odd race in the last couple of years. But well played, Oscar Onley. He's going to finish provisionally here in 10th place. He might end up in the top 20-25 today. Great ride.
Yeah, that is a solid ride from Onley there. Good to see another Brit at the pointy end of things as well.
Just 20 years of age, the Scot. This is Mollema in the meantime. Dutch champion. Solid without being spectacular. And that's Nicola Conci, who started 2 minutes in front of him, who's going to come in behind. So Mollema there, provisionally fourth. Conci, probably a time to forget for him. And where is Filippo Ganna? If he's to win the stage, he's got to get over the line in less than 3 minutes.
Wilder has gone quickly, 11.10 through that first split, so 14 seconds up on Almeida.
Good news for Van Wilder then. Looking like he could be trying to defend that podium place. 8th place provisionally at that time check, ever so slightly slower than Bauke Mollema. Dani Martinez looking good. 5th place provisionally at the first check. He could be one who's on his way to the podium. Started, by the way, just 16 seconds off it.
4 seconds. Fourth at the second time split.
You're with Ilan van Wilder, who's gone through that first time check in a very solid 8th place. Now the world time trial champion Tobias Foss has not really been living up to the rainbow stripes so far. He's been up there, but he's not been setting the fastest times. How's he gone in that third and final section? He's close, but not close enough. He's not going to be in the top 2. He could end up in the top 5 at the end of the day with a ride here. But Foss has been solid without being spectacular. Started the day at 32 seconds in 10th place. He probably should rise in the general classification today, but he will not win the stage nor the race. It's a 30.03.22, and Foss is third provisionally. Stefan Kung's still the leader, and Stefan Kung will be eagerly watching this man, because Kung could be on his way to a stage win here if Filippo Ganna can't get over the line in the next, minute and 10 seconds or so.
Just looking for the kilometre sign or a sign to show where he is upon that road, but this is the final straight. He is motoring, but is that the last kilometre or is it 500 metres go? We'll soon find out. If that's the last kilometre, then I think Kung is comfortably. Yeah,
it is the final kilometre. Stefan Kung with 29.34, his top time. And Filippo Ganna up to 29 minutes now. Now, keep your eyes on this. This is going to be tense and tight. I don't think Ganna is going to get there in time, if this time is correct. And if so, he won't be looking at a first-time trial stage win of the season. He might be looking up in the GC, because that's a different matter. We'll be taking 2 looks at things here today. First, it's going to be stage win, and that's not going to Filippo Ganna, I can tell you. 300 metres to the line, and the time is ticking by. Gets to 200 metres. The seconds tick away. Stefan Kung remains the fastest. Cavagna beaten. Foss, the world time trial champion, beaten. Ganna beaten. But now, has Filippo Ganna done enough to be with the big boys in the GC? That's the question. 29.44.54. It's no stage win for Filippo Ganna, but he could be on his way to the podium in the overall general classification. Adam, your reaction?
We mentioned it, didn't we, saying that he's not, done a few time trials this year. This is the first real long time trial that has to do, and I think it's not a bad result for him, but I think we all expected, and he probably expected to go a little bit quicker than that. But you've got to take your hat off to Kung and Cavagna there. I mean, putting in solid performances, especially Kung as well. He's always kicking around that top 3 in time trials, and just to, it looks like he probably will get the stage win today. That might change, obviously. A few riders can beat him, but solid performance by him.
Tom Pidcock, by the way, through that first time check in 11th place, 30 seconds down on Kung, 28 seconds down on Filippo Ganna. So Ganna could yet be heading to the podium if things work out for him. That will be the GC podium. Oh, it's complicated today, a lot of sums to be done. I don't think you and I are probably the best choice for calling things to the line today.
Honestly, get me a calculator, please. I need Dan Lloyd in here to do my maths for me.
Here's Van Wilder.
I'm thinking.
"17 and a half minutes into things." Start of the day in second place. And Pidcock in the yellow jersey. Now then, what's happened here?
He's gone too hot round that roundabout. He's coming in hot. He's coming in hot.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Tom Pidcock going cyclocross on the time trial bike. And still keeping it upright.
Brilliant. Take my hat off to him. That was mint. That's the best thing I've seen. He jumped, bunny hopped onto the rocks to save himself. So he took off, flew onto the rocks, rode the rocks, and still managed to keep it up. Brilliant.
I'd be interested to know whether that happened before the time check or after it, because of course it could go a long way to explaining what happened before the time check. If it's happened after, it's not particularly good news for the GC Challenge, is it? Because more seconds have gone away, despite the skills on the show. Adam, we'll come back to that, because this is one of the stars of the week. Magnus Cort riding away. It's going to be a 30-37 for now, is it? 30-41. Magnus Cort has put in a good ride, but he's not going to take the GC today because Filippo Ganna's finished well ahead of him. Cort only had around 10 seconds on Ganna. Back with Joao Almeida. But Adam, let's go back to what we just saw from Tom Pidcock.
Honestly, I could watch that on repeat for days. That was, I mean, there's not many riders in the world that would have been able to keep that up. Maybe two, maybe three, maybe him, Van der Poel and Sagan are the only three I can probably think of. He literally slid onto the gravel and then bunny hopped himself onto the rocks to save himself, managed to get back off it, all on the time trial bike.
Now keep your eyes on this time, because this could be key. You could be looking at a man who could challenge for the overall general classification. Dani Martinez had 8 seconds on his teammate Filippo Ganna. What's going to happen here? Because Martinez might be about to ride into the provisional GC lead in the clubhouse. Ganna, remember, with that 29.44. Martinez with a 29.50. Martinez, for me, is above Ganna in the general classification. Super ride from the former Colombian champion. He could be the man who could be threatening people, but there's still the likes of Van Wilder to ride in, who's been riding well. Joao Almeida disappointing a little bit in the time check so far. Tom Pidcock, we saw disappointing in the first time check relatively, but what's happened since then? Dani Martinez might be the name.
We could be looking at an Ineos 1-2-3 here, depending on how Pidcock goes in the general.
Keep your eyes on it. Martinez, by my calculations, admittedly not brilliant ones, could be a couple of seconds ahead of Filippo Ganna. This is Joao Almeida. Out of the times where I think we probably expected him to be. He is a really solid time trialist. But again, early in the season this. Oh. What was the shout there? Pointed to his front wheel?
Front wheel puncture maybe, or he might be telling the team car with the radio just to calm down, or he might be signalling, the team car might be saying, can you hear me, and he might be saying yes, no, with a thumbs up, thumbs down. There's so many things that it could be, but probably just wants to settle in and concentrate as much as he can.
Something's not right. He's looking down again. Oh yeah. No, something's not right. Puncture maybe. He was pointing at that front wheel. We know that Tom Pidcock has gone off-road. He went up the banking like he was on the track a moment ago, and then with the cyclocross and mountain bike styles, he managed to start it out and stay upright.
Best thing I've seen all year, that. Absolutely mint. Van Wilder, by the way, 7th through the second time check, 20.04, so just over 30 seconds behind.
That's interesting to see how he goes on the third part of this course, because at the start of the day, if we're looking at Martinez and we take him as the top time to watch now, at the start of the day there were 18 seconds. Now
Pidcock's just approaching the split and he's down on Van Wilder.
A long way down. He's over a minute down on Cavagna as well, so I think that Tom Pidcock's general classification hopes in terms of winning this thing are going to end here, Adam.
Yeah, I'd say so at the minute. If Tom can pick it up a lot, but even that is a long way to pick up, even for a man like Tom Pidcock. So, yeah, sadly for Tom, he's given it his everything, but the TT specialist and even this man here, Jan van Wilder, is putting in a brilliant show.
Yeah, that was around, if you say, a minute behind Cavagna. Ganna was only 10 seconds behind him, so that's 50 seconds to Ganna he'd be looking at. Start of the day, 31 seconds separate him, so there's 20 seconds missing there. And to Martinez, 23 seconds at the start of the day. He'd be fairly well down on Martinez as well. Maybe can, as you say, pick it up in that final part. Keep your eyes on what Tom Pidcock can produce. At the minute, stage is on its way to Stefan Kung. General classification could well be going to Danny Martinez, but Ilan van Wilder's there to fight for it. He's looking good. 22 seconds at that second time check, though, between Martinez and van Wilder, so time to make up. A lot of time to make up still for the Belgian, looking for that first professional victory. Rui Costa on his way back into the final few hundred metres. Winner of the general classification in Valencia. Up there all week this year in his native land in Portugal at the Tour of the Algarve. He's not going to win GC here, but he's going to put in another performance that's worthy of having him right up there in the top 10. A little slower than Askreen on the day, maybe. He's there or thereabouts, in fact a second faster, but he'll be in the top 10 in the overall. Another good result, a really good result from Anu's right back. So with Costa over the line, only 4 left to finish. We wait for Higuita, Almeida, Van Wilder and Pidcock. This is Almeida.
Still can't go over the Pidcock thing. I've just watched it again. It's unbelievable.
That's going to be a viral clip, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, right. I need to take my eyes off it. Joe Almeida's looking good as well.
Well, the time good enough? That's the question. 3 kilometres to go from here. Danny Martinez with that big time in the finale. Danny Martinez 4th overall. That's some time trial from him, isn't it?
Super time trial. I mean, to be 5 seconds down, 6 seconds down on Filippo Ganna, who we know how good he is in his team as well, is exceptional.
So he's already won the Dauphiné, hasn't he? He's already won the Tour of the Basque Country. It could be about to add another big stage race to his palmarès. Van Wilder at the start of the day was a good 18 seconds quicker than him, so there's still good opportunity for Van Wilder here. But Martinez was enough in front at the time check so far to suggest he might hold on. Let's see. This will be Sergio Higuita, 4th last to finish. He's been out there, he's fought as usual, but we know that time trialling's not his forte.
A solid time though, over a half an hour time trial for him. I think, if he can slot into that top 20, I'm sure he'd be quite happy with that.
From what we've seen, I think we can probably say that we know the stage winner now, Adam, as well. It's going to be Stefan Kung.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Here's Sergio Higuita then. And finishes just outside the top 20 on the day. 31.19.26. Interesting to see where that puts him in the GC. Imagine he'll be still hanging around the top 10-15 by the end of the day. But where is Joao Almeida going to be? He's approaching the final kilometre here. He's certainly not going to win the stage. That's going to Stefan Küng. How is he going to be relative to Dani Martinez? 16 seconds between them at the start of the day. And I have a feeling here, Joao Almeida, 30 minutes passing, he's not going to catch Dani Martinez by the finish line either, so that's another one we can rule out. It seems as though the main threat to Martinez here is the man behind Almeida, who's Ilan van Wilder. Joao Almeida, the Portuguese road champion, a former national time trial champion, hasn't really put on his Sunday time trial best in the Algarve today. It's been solid enough, but not good enough to either win the stage with Stefan Küng setting the fastest time or take the general classification on his home roads. Almeida approaching the finish line. They bang the boards, they clap away. And it's going to be provisionally 12th place, 30.46.56.
It looked to be then as well, Rob, that we thought he might have had a problem there, but it looked to be you've got the electric levers on the end of your handlebars and he had to change gear by the looks of things on his where the brake lever was there. So maybe a problem with the electrical gears and just maybe having to take his hand off to move the gear down into a harder gear. So that might have been what we thought was the problem earlier. But obviously with that you can deal with it and it's quicker than stopping and starting again.
And it's funny, that would tally with the second image that we saw when he was gesticulating. The first one, he was sort of pointing the front of his bike. The second, we saw him looking down at the drivetrain. Now then, 1 kilometre to go for Ilan van Wilder. The time is ticking away. Started 16 seconds in front of Dani Martinez on the day. 7 seconds behind Tom Pidcock. Dani Martinez across the line in 29.50. This is going to be close. And Van Wilder is really fighting to try and take this, which would be his first professional win. So 29.50, it's up. Remember, 16 seconds between them. Time starts to tick away, though. And I have a feeling that with 300 metres to go to the line, he will sprint, he will go. But the overall general classification victory looks like it's going to Dani Martinez of Ineos Grenadiers. Van Wilder is right up there. He's put in a really good effort in the time trial today. He should be up there on the podium at the end of the day. Van Wilder provisionally with 7th place, 30.23.22, and with only Tom Pidcock to finish, well down on Stefan Küng. We can confirm that Stefan Küng is a stage winner, and we think that the Ineos Grenadiers will keep the general classification, but that it will go to Dani Martinez. Super ride from Ilan van Wilder.
Very good. And very good.
Here's Pidcock with 2k still to go, ticket of 29 minutes. It's not going to happen for him for the GC today.
No, it's not going to happen. We saw that amazing bit of bike handling there from him, but he's just not had the best of days on the bike there, Tom, on the time trial bike. But nevertheless, stage win, day in the yellow jersey, not come away with the overall, but their team has been up there. There's one of our Eurosport GCN crew on site ready to go with that red microphone there.
I cannot wait to get Tom Pidcock's reaction to all that happened there, certainly with the way he kept it upright. Remind you that he was fairly well down in the first part anyway before that happened, wasn't he? So things haven't gone maybe as well as he wanted in the time trial. And there we go. The time is ticking away on the yellow jersey. 1 kilometre still to ride, 15 seconds to get over the line. Won't happen for Tom Pidcock. He'll be trying to save a high position as possible in the general classification. but it's going to be Stefan Kung who'll take the stage. Dani Martinez, we think. You know, I haven't seen it in graphical form by our back of the cigarette packet and spare waste paper sums. We think that it's Dani Martinez who takes it. Tom Pidcock, he's ridden really hard, he's ridden really well. But it's not to be today. Yellow jersey on his back. Big victory yesterday. He'll become an internet star with that clip of it keeping up on the bike. But he is not going to become the winner today of the Volta Algarve. Provisionally in 19th place, Thomas Pidcock riding in the yellow jersey. Oh dear, I cannot believe they've opened that road again.
Yeah, a little bit early that.
Well, back to the racing for a moment. Thomas Pidcock. A big experience for him today, but it has not happened as far as the general classification has concerned. He'll be happy that the team have got it though. It's Dani Martinez from Colombia who picks up a third big stage race in his career. From the Dauphiné to the Basque Country and now in the Algarve, Dani Martinez is the overall general classification winner after a superb time trial over almost 25 kilometres in southern Portugal. Stefan Kung, the stage winner, 3 seconds in front of Remy Cavagna, 9 seconds ahead of Filippo Ganna. Dani Martinez, 15 seconds back to win the overall, with Tobias Foster at 28 seconds, Arendsman, Van Wilder, Mollema, Pollitt and Hergots all rounding out the top 10. One minute and 2 between the top 10 on the day. Stefan Kung, 4 years after he last won this time trial, is victorious again in Lagoa, and this is how his ride went. Great to see him right back at the top, Adam.
Brilliant to see him right at the top again, and he fully deserves it as well.
Well, he flew out the start house, he flew around the course. It was a big battle between some of the biggest time trial names that are there in the sport at the minute. We've got the world champion Foss, Ganna out there as well, but Kung will take positives. Of course, Bissika was out earlier in the day and was well down. I think there might be a bit of rain affecting that. We'll wait to get some reaction afterwards. But Stefan Kung has won the first big battle of the big beasts of the season.
He will take a lot of confidence from that as well. After a hard week of racing, it's been a solid week here, and for Stefan Kung to come away on top, up against some of the time trialists in here, Ganna, Cavagna, Voss, there's many more. Bissika, he didn't have the best of days today, but brilliant for him.
Well, there's the realisation for Steve Cummings, Sports Director, that they've taken the big victory today.
Steve will be cracking jokes left, right and centre now.
He will be delighted with that. Lots of fun and laughter there, and interesting to see how it shakes up in the final GC. We wait for the graphic to come in, but I think there's going to be a few Ineos Grenadiers up there in the top 10. Very illustration of the tactic, strength in numbers, paying off. Celebrations all round. Bogart's on the bus there as well. be very happy. Time to get confirmation. It is 2 seconds. Thankfully, we got something right today, Adam. The maths. And that's what mattered. Dani Martinez winning the general classification ahead of Filippo Ganna. 15 seconds in front of Ilan van Wilder, who takes a brilliant podium. Tobias Foss's ride is enough to see him finish fourth. Kung in fifth, Almeida down in sixth. It's Pidcock, Mollema, Court and Costa with another top 10. It's an Ineos Grenadiers 1-2 in the GC. It's Dani Martinez who wins a third stage race in his career. And by 2 seconds, perhaps the opportunity for his mate Ganna to take what would have been a first GC prize. Honourable mention has to really go to Ilan van Wilder. That was a brilliant ride from him.
Fantastic ride, and it's something that we didn't really expect that result from him, really. I think, in fairness, I was expecting Tom Pidcock to do more of that result, but Van Wilder there, really, not known for his being the world's best time trialist, but putting in a solid performance and hanging onto the podium as well against some of the riders that were out there today. It's promising, and promising for Soudal Quickstep as well. When they look, they've got a rider now who's looking to win Grand Tours in Remco, and having this sort of support around you it's invaluable in a team.
5 seconds then back to Ilan van Wilder at the start of the day. He finishes 15 down on the eventual winner. It's not a bad effort at all. And the only man who started the day on the podium to keep his place on the podium. He said there'd be plenty of musical chairs, and there has been. Jai Hindley dropping out the top 10. Same with Sergio Higuita, and a few riders riding up into that top 10. Stefan Kung with that victory up into the top 5 in the end. Superb result for him.
Stefan, you
Here's the
won
winner
here in 2019. Now you won it again. How does that feel?
Yeah, very, very nice. I knew this course suits me, and I was feeling good. I had power until in the end, but I also knew it was going to be close. It's really nice to take the victory, also the first victory of the season for our team. And we worked a lot over the winter on the TT position and the setup and so on. And so a big thanks to my performance team, to my mechanic. Without the team, it's not possible to win here.
You're obviously very good on this course. What is the secret to win here?
For me, I really like this. It's always changing of rhythm. You have to push on all the time, and I really like that when it's always changing rhythm left and right. This course suits me well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
An explanation as to what was happening there with the course, Adam, and up and down, on and off the gap, left and right, something that Kung feels he excels at.
Yeah, I mean, he's a specialist at the TT, and as he said there in his interview, he's been working on his position over the winter, and it's just those minute little adjustments that can make the big difference, especially in time trials when it comes down to seconds, and you're up against this man for the majority of the season. It's every second is hugely important, and for Stefan to get that result there against the big names that are here, it's not just him that's got it, it's the team that's putting in all the work for him, and the manufacturers as well, getting the equipment ready. So yeah, he'll be more than thrilled, I think.
What kind of sensations does this man take away from today, of course, because he's been beaten by Kung, but he's ended up on the podium in the general classification, which is something he's not really been used to doing too much, but he's had 2 stage races so far this year, and he's been on the podium down in San Juan and now here in Algarve. What will his overall feeling with? Because I imagine there are positives and negatives for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he did the track, didn't he, in between Argentina and that as well, the European Championships. They won the team pursuit there, so he won't be at full road, I'm going to say time trial topness yet. He won't be at the best of his game. He's got the power, he's got the speed, he's got the engine there, but the difference between getting on the track and the road is getting more and more similar again. But these top end efforts for half an hour, when you're being concentrating on efforts that are 4 minutes long, it is very, very different indeed. So I think for Ghana, he knows that he can improve a little bit more. I think he'll probably be a little bit gutted he didn't win this, but at the same time, it looks to me like he's lost a bit of weight as well. His climbing's on the up as well, so something's got to give within that. If this man wasn't here, then he'd have won the race.
And the fact that his teammate has won, I'm sure, will help by just 2 seconds as well. Dani Martinez not a rider who talked up too much this week, given the fact he was there, but not at the pointy end in terms of results. But it just shows that consistency pays. We know he can time trial. He brought one of his better time trials to the party today. And it's good enough to see him win a third stage race. When he wins them, they tend to be against good riders. He won the Dauphiné. He's won in the Basque Country. He's now won a race that his team has won several times over the last 10 years or so. He's on the right track, isn't he?
He's on the right track indeed. I mean, the results speak themselves, don't they? I mean, putting in a performance like this in the TT to take the overall victory. He was up there on the mountain stage yesterday. I think he was 4th or 5th maybe on the stage. So he's, as you say, Rob, I think for him, consistency is the key. And for most GC riders now, consistency is key. Being good at climbing, being good at time trial, and being able to stay up there on the sprinty days, the technical days, it's all a huge part of it. And this man's showing that he can do all of that, and he's getting the success from it.
I'm not a fan of that roundabout behind being half open either. Every time I see those replays, really catches you. Thankfully, all was okay. And Dani Martinez is the GC winner. Ineos Grenadiers taking victory despite that last minute change when Geraint Thomas was supposed to come here, wasn't he? In the end, he's changed his plan, and we'll see him at Tirreno Adriatico. Things have gone really well for that team. A 1-2 in the general classification, and the stage win yesterday with Tom Pidcock as well.
I think they need it as well, you know. This might sound a little bit harsh, but we know the amount of money that Sir Jim Ratcliffe chucks into this team, the amount of money they pay riders, and, you know, if they weren't at this point here and winning like they have been here and performing how they have been, I think, you know, questions would be asked upon it, but the performance they've done here, there's no need to ask the questions. They're performing at the highest level and winning races, so I'm not going to say it's expected, but if they weren't within that, you know, top 5, top 10 with the riders that are here, then I'm sure we would be, along with all the other cycling fans out there, be questioning it a little bit as well, so it's good.
Martinez has been a solid stage racer. It's his third stage race win. Ganna there in second position. A question that was asked by the Italian press when he first starred at the Giro d'Italia a couple of years ago: is he starting to think about stage races, or are these two early season results anomalies, the two second places?
No, I'd say he's concentrating on the Grand Tours, getting himself in there, putting himself in that team and being able to do a solid job. You know, he's very much a rider that can do everything. He can lead out, he can, you know, time trial obviously, and I think just the climbing with it, having that one extra rider there that can, you know, do those early climbs in the Tours and really stay with the group for a long time after the group split down. We see it so often. We've seen it so often in the past with Ineos, where they have these big guys. You know, Ian Stannard used to be one of them, the guns that used to be able to get over the first couple of climbs, then sit up again. And I think that's what Ganna will be doing a little bit, you know, just pushing it so you can get deeper into the stage by saving the more purer climbers to help with their leaders in the race. So we'll see what happens with him, I guess. I think we always forget within all that, you know, it's being better at climbing for a man like Ganna, something I'd say I'm probably wrong. Something has to give a little bit.
In terms of time trialling times.
Yeah.
It's an equation that we talked about a couple of years ago when he first started winning those stages. I think it was mainly after he won that big breakaway stage with all the climbing in, and people started thinking, hang on a minute, what's this guy going to do? And obviously, I think most people will be glad that he's stayed out there and continued to do what he's done brilliant. But an interesting debate as we see Magnus Cort taking the points classification despite not wearing the green jersey today. Kesper Askren, the king of the mountains, he finished 5 points in front of Ilan van Wilder, and Antonio Ferreira, who had the jersey for 4 days until yesterday, finishing in third place. And Oscar Onley. Now, what a result this is. First big stage race as a fully fledged professional. He's the best young rider. And he's performed admirably in a time trial. Don't want to put too much pressure on his shoulders, but he's a man that people are going to sit up and look at now after that.
Too right as well. They should be looking at him. He's fantastic result, fantastic ride all week round, and to get that jersey, it's nothing less than solid, really. I mean, it's great this early on in the season. I think if it was later on in the season, you would be like, right, he's peaked for this, he's come into it. But I'm sure he's not going to be at his full peak yet, so he's only going to get stronger and stronger along with the other riders as well. But great to see it. Another Brit getting up there, it's always good.
Yeah, and DSM, let's give them their dues. Another young talent that's been brought through their development team and has gone on to, you know, okay, not going to say big things yet, but he's certainly gone on to get a very solid start to his career, and he's only 20 years of age. So, yeah, let's give Matt Winston and all the rest the credit they deserve at DSM, all the coaches behind the scenes as well, because I know that there's always a lot of questions asked about why riders leave after a while, but I tell you what, they churn out the talent, and they really help them turn professional and adapt to, you know, that gap between the under-23s and the seniors.
They do indeed. I mean, they're a brilliant team. I was speaking to one of the older riders in the team as well, John Dagenkolb. He was in that originally with, was it Argos Shimano that it was originally? Yep. And then he left for a couple of years, went to Trek, and then he's ended up back there. And he was telling me, you know, he loves it. He loves helping the younger riders. And I think DSM are so good at finding those younger riders. And you look at Mark Hershey, he was within that team, went on to have a fantastic Tour de France, and then went to UA after that, got paid the big bucks, and he's not quite been that same rider ever since, you know. So it's a difficult one for a lot of riders who perform at that high level massively, get a lot of interest from other teams, and when the checkbook's there in front of you, it's hard to argue with that. But I think for DSM, they're very much, we'll pay you what you're worth, but we'll nurture and guide you as much as we can.
All the paraphernalia behind the success on the screen there.
TT days are one of the most stressful things for staff, for anyone working within a bike team. There's a lot of logistics on a day, and being the last day on a 1 week stage race, they've generally got all the luggage there to whisk the riders off to airports, etc. after it.
Well, the good news is that it's not too far away from Faro Airport, where a lot of people will be heading out of later this afternoon and early evening. On to home, training camp, next races. We're at that stage of the season now, it does not stop. Well and truly underway, and there's much more coming up, by the way, as we just take a look at the best moments of the day. On-stage racing coming up with a UAE tour this week.
Stage 5 highlights, they better show that almost crash a pig goal.
Enough on Wilder. It's a man that Soudal Quickstep can rely on. It's not just about Remco Evenepoel in terms of GC riding for them, and it's good that they've got several riders up there. Filippo Ganna finishing second on the overall podium. Not quite enough to take the stage win on the day ahead of one of his big rivals, Stefan Küng. As the riders head off there, Castroviejo, Kwiatkowski onto that airport dash. Let's hear from the man staying behind, the winner, Dani Martinez.
Yes, I am right because this morning, okay, everyone in the team is Filippo the favorite #1 for win the GC. And okay, day by day my feeling is better, but today is also one surprise for me.
Which was the strategy of the whole team during the race that brought you here to the win today?
Normally with this time trial, all races for Filippo, and yeah, today it's a surprise because okay, my race day by day is much better, and today, yeah, all work this week is for Filippo and for win the summit stage for Dawn, also for me.
Thank you so much. Congratulations once again.
Dani Martinez says he's surprised. Are you surprised, Adam?
Well, maybe slightly. maybe slightly. We know how good he is, we know what he's capable of, but I think that was a little bit above expectations of ours, and by the sounds of it, his as well. But hard work pays off, doesn't it, kids?
He's always been good in the time trial. Just maybe lacking a little bit of consistency.
I think one of the most important things as well is that, as you were saying, he's feeling better day by day. We were speaking about Ironsman before, Townsend Ironsman, and they've been away on altitude camp, so just readjusting to life at sea level. He's probably getting better each day, so that's probably what he meant by feeling better and getting used to it again. But Stefan Kung, brilliant ride.
Stefan Kung of Groupama FDG picking up a 26th victory of his professional career. 4 years after winning in Lagoa, he's a winner again. And it's his team's first win of the season. Groupama FDG are off the mark, and that'll take quite a lot of pressure off them. That will feel good for the French team. And it's come against some very good opponents as well, in the shape of Gannar and company. And we know one of the favourites for today. But he's pulled it off. He will feel very good about that. And finishing with a top 5 on GC as well, which is something that he'd started to improve on last year, those GC positions. Here's Magnus Kort. He will be putting on the green jersey now. Didn't ride in it today. Decided to opt for his own skin suit.
He's had a brilliant week, and someone I'm hoping is going to have a brilliant classic season as well.
He's been superb, as well as been exceptionally entertaining. He's taken home 2 fantastic stage wins, one in the mountains and one on the flat, but on the flat from a breakaway as well, that looked like it had been caught, or was caught with half a kilometre to go, but there was something left from him. Still managed to power away. The team's having a great start to the year. He is already on fire. King of the Mountains is next to come out here. He briefly led the time trial earlier on today. Kisper Asgreen, all smiles, showed he was strong yesterday in the break. Looked good again today. Finishes as King of the Mountains. Next Saturday and Sunday, 2 big, very important days for this man. Opening weekend in Belgium. And a Belgian team that is under a little bit more pressure than usual this year going into those races after a relatively, by their own standards, poor classic season last year. Now Oscar Onley, welcome to the big time. White jersey on his back, 20 years of age, from Kelso in Scotland. If you didn't know who he was, you certainly do now. Keep your eye out for this man. Dare winner at the 49th Volta Algarve and beating some top riders to the title. A third GC prize for him. It's his 12th career win. He warmed up in Argentina. He got close at the Nationals. He's a winner on his first race in Europe this year. 26 years of age. Maybe reaching maturity as a bike rider now. Set to ride the Tour this year. Keep your eyes on that man, because there isn't much he can't do.
E vamos consagrar a equipa vencedora coletivamente.
A team classification is next up.
Volta Algarve bicicleta. Ela foi a formação Ineos Grenadiers.
And the Ineos Grenadiers win the team classification rather comfortably, it has to be said. And the team classification picked up by Ganna and Martinez. Steve Cummings there on the podium as well. Nice result for him in his transition to sports director now, and well, there were some big names for them even in the car here. Cummings always enjoyed coming to this race. He's a former stage winner at the Volta Algarve. He's now a winner as a sports director. Stage yesterday, overall prize today, and he takes the flowers. That must be a nice feeling for him, back on the podium of a bike race.
Someone's been working